business of the night. Item number 1, the public hearing and the second reading of Ordinance 709-051225, general penalties of the Village of Waterford Ordinances. Consider an appropriate motion for action. So before we begin that,
I do have a question. When we make an ordinance change like this that regards fines and whatnot, who writes that? Who the language on that?
Marcy Hassenstadt wrote the original. This one I've amended it and just amended the dollar amounts that are in there. So one of the challenges that you have whenever you do these ordinances, like they're not inflation adjusted, like stuff at the federal level. So, you've got, I don't know when the last time the dollar amount was amended on this, but the dollar doesn't buy what it used to. So this was a lawyer that, it may have predated Marcy, I'm not sure how far back it goes, but it's been on the books, it's chapter.
Well, I guess then my follow-up remark would be, should we have Todd Terry put his eye to some of these ordinance changes, just to make sure that the language and no confusion in the verbiage? Would that make sense to do? Obviously, there was a question on how, it was somewhat confusing. So if we have Todd take a run at it.
Sure.
And lawyers aren't always the best because their verbiage can sometimes be more confusing, but I just think it would be a safe play for the village to have the village attorney look at it.
I'm gonna say for this one, the confusion comes in not from this particular chapter, but another chapter, and I would tell you that you have lots of chapters that are in conflict with each other. So your
Well,
entire
then we should fix it.
your entire book of ordinances, like we need to spend time going through that, and it's laborious and it's boring, but we really need to sit here chapter by chapter by chapter and go, okay, let's read through this, and then quite frankly have folks like Aber reading, go, hey, does this mean what we think it means, or does it mean something different to you? And that's really how you work this story.
and I think this is the proof that we're trying to start that process
Right.
by some of the ones that are on here tonight, because they have not been discussed, looked at, tweaked, they've been
Right.
in
I mean,
conflict of each other for quite some time, and it just was not a priority
Right.
to address.
It's like we're literally starting with chapter 1, right? That's what this is. Hey, here are your penalties, and what does this mean? So
So to your point,
Yeah.
I think, I'd like the input from everyone else up here, but I think it's a very valid point to be made as we go through these. If we are doing so many at one time, maybe they all get discussed here and then sent off for Tom Terry to look at if that's
send
what
for
we
a
wanna
quick
do.
review.
That's absolutely all right with me. I'd like to hear what the rest of the board feels on that.
My feelings are, when you have a book of ordinances in any municipality, they need to be completely 100% objective. There should be no cross-contamination between, there should be no misspelled words, there should be no words that lead you down the wrong path. If we feel that Todd Terry taking a look at it and doing a clean sweep across it, and tuning it up or recommending edits for us so we can have this back next month and put it to bed, great. But there could be no confusion when someone comes in and asks for something or pays a citation related to something or wants to obtain information regarding ordinances. They should be crystal clear, because if not, we're open to lawsuits.
I'm sorry, go ahead.
I'm finished.
Yeah, I think it's a good idea to look at the ordinances, but also a good idea to make sure these fines have some teeth in them. $5 obviously doesn't do it, and I'd be proactive on that while still looking at the ordinances and look at all of them also. I think it's real important to get the fines in the books.
I'll make a motion to table this to June.
Well, I want input from all of you before we make a motion, if that's
I
okay.
concur.
Okay.
I concur as well.
Okay. So, that's your motion to table until June.
The next meeting.
But my question would be, the way this is written now, you want it reviewed? You don't have any issues with the way it's written?
I'm fine.
So send it off as written to Todd Terry for review.
Yep, per Troy's request.
May I make a suggestion? That you make a motion to approve based on the review from
I'll make a motion to approve it based on Todd Terry's. What's the word I'm looking for?
You want a legal review?
the legal review.
Okay, so
Legal review.
motion to approve based on legal review by Todd Terry.
That way we don't have to hear it again. We don't have to hear 709 again.
And you move things along.
Right, we And every one of these ordinance changes that we're gonna be confronted with, like, let's just say planning and zoning. That should go to the planning commission for a first reading. There should be a recommendation made to the village board. If we disagree with something, we should then approve based on our attorney reviewing that section of our ordinance. The one thing attorneys are good at is reading that choose your own adventure thing that could lead you down the wrong path and making sure that they bring your attention to it so you can fix it when you do each individual update. I think if we handed them our book of ordinances and said, clean scrub this, it would be very expensive and very time consuming, so we should do it ordinance change by ordinance change as we do it, subject to the legal review.
See?
So, process that was in place is you had, let me say that you were very fortunate to have what you had in Marcy Hossenstall. And so, Marcy used to write every single ordinance, whatever came up in conversation. Marcy earned somewhere in the ballpark of $60K a year. She was quasi-retired, you were her only client. She was in a unique position financially and from a life standpoint, that this just worked well for her. I don't think we're gonna be lucky in finding one of Marcy Hossenstall, and I know that because when we went out and searched last time, we got Todd, and Todd is fantastic. But if we paid Todd for everything that Marcy did, you're gonna have a really big bill. To Bob's point, to go back through our ordinances, I would shop in the dark, 150K to go through all of them, at a legal level. You know, somebody like a Stan Roof or a Renzi Vitar that really does intensive municipal law. And then, by the way, it's going back through it all the time because the state legislature is gonna change things that are gonna impact your code. So what we've done for the last 7 years is I take the first stab at it. Most stuff I'm pretty comfortable with about like, hey, this is something that I'm okay with, or hey, let me pick up the telephone and call Todd, I've got a question. We're gonna bring you one, later on that is hey, I've got a question. And so the way that I remedy that is I get Todd to write me a memo. And the memo says, yeah, I concur with your opinion on this, let's move ahead, and then there's a backstop to it. I think as a point of practice, it's really not an issue for me to kick these over to Todd, have him go read of them before they come into you guys. I'll continue to do the drafting, Todd can do a quick read through, and that way when they get to you guys at the packet level, we're not sending it the other way around. It's already had Todd take a look at it. Fair enough?
Yeah, I would think that's wise. I don't think just looking at budgeting, we really wanna dive into $150,000 and $200,000
No.
legal fees when we have issues elsewhere.
And I'm straight up, I'd rather have Abra read it, right? The reason I'd rather have Abra read it is because if it passes an Abra test or the popular, I had a guy come in last week and ask me a question about placement of a fence in the zoning code, and I read it, and I read it, and I read it, and I read it again, and he did the same thing. You know what, I'm gonna give you the benefit of the doubt on this, because the way this thing is written, I can't actually tell what was intended from the writing. So you have a fence in place, I think you get to put a fence back in place, you certainly can appeal it, but I'm gonna sign off on it because I think you get the benefit of the doubt. It looks like it was written for a specific property somewhere in the village. You shouldn't have situations like that where somebody decided to create an administrative carve out in the code to benefit a single property. He responded back, he said, the sheriff used to live in my house. And I went, that maybe that tracks, right? I don't know which sheriff, I didn't ask or what the situation was, but we'll handle it that way going forward.
So, we have a motion on the table of approving this as is after legal review by Todd Terry.
I'll second.
We have a second. Is there any more questions or conversations on this ordinance? All right, hearing none,